The crimson emergency lights bathed the command center of Earth's orbital defense station in an ominous glow. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the massive holographic display, her weather hands clasped behind her back as she watched the approaching alien fleet. 1,000 ships, each one the size of a small city, drifted to the void like metallic vultures circling their prey. "Ma'am," called out Lieutenant Jake Morrison from his communications console, his voice cracking with nervous energy. "The Zephyrian Empire is broadcasting on all frequencies. They're demanding our immediate surrender." Sarah's lips curved into a dangerous smile. "Oh, are they now? How absolutely precious. Put them through, Lieutenant. Let's hear what these overgrown lizards have to say." The main screen flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of High Commander Vex'thor. His scale features twisted into what he probably thought was a menacing expression. His serpentine eyes glowed with malevolent satisfaction as he began his prepared speech. "Pathetic humans," Vex'thor hissed, his forked tongue darting between razor-sharp teeth. "For 1,000 years, you have lived in ignorance of the true powers that govern this galaxy. The Zephyrian Empire has conquered 700 worlds, enslaved countless species, and now we turn our attention to your insignificant little planet." Sarah yawned theatrically, making sure the alien could see her complete lack of concern. "You know, Commander Vex'thor, I've got to say, your opening monologue needs work. 7 out of 10 for dramatics, but minus several points for originality. We've heard this speech about 12 times before from various would-be conquerors." The alien's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Mock us, if you will. Human, your species has grown soft during your millennium of peace. You know nothing of war, nothing of suffering. We will teach you both." Behind Sarah, the command center erupted in barely contained laughter. Captain Maria Santos, the station's tactical officer, was wiping tears from her eyes. "Oh, sweet Mother Mercy," she gasped between chuckles. "Did he just say we know nothing of war? Someone needs to update this guy's intelligence files." "Seriously," added communications officer Tom Bradley, shaking his head in amazement. 1,000 years of peace? Is that what they think happened? Did nobody tell them about the Martian Rebellion, the asteroid mining wars, the great corporate conflict of 2847? Sarah held up a hand to quiet her crew, though her own shoulders were shaking with suppressed mirth. Now, people, let's not be rude to our uninformed guests. Commander Vex'thor, I think there's been a slight misunderstanding. When we say 1,000 years of peace, we mean peace with alien species. We've been fighting each other this entire time." The alien commander's confusion was palpable. "Fighting each other? But why would you wage war against your own kind?" "Oh, you sweet, naive lizard," Sarah cooed mockingly. "We fight because it's Tuesday. We fight because someone looked at someone else funny. We fight because we're bored. We fight because we disagree about which way to hang toilet paper. We're really quite good at it by now." Lieutenant Morrison pulled up a holographic display showing humanity's military engagements over the past millennium. The data scrolled past in an endless stream of conflicts, battles, and wars. "Let's see here," he said with theatrical interest. "In just the last century, we've had the Jupiter Independence War, the Europa mining conflict, the Great Shipping Lane dispute, the Titan atmospheric processor strike, and oh, my personal favorite, the 3-year war that started because someone invented a new type of sandwich. The Sandwich War was serious business," Captain Santos protested with mock severity. "Lives were lost over that sandwich. Good lives. Brave lives." Vex'thor's scale face had gone from confident to confused to slightly concerned. "But your technology level suggests a peaceful species. Your weapons are primitive compared to ours." This statement triggered another wave of laughter from a human crew. Chief Engineer Marcus Webb, a grizzled veteran with cybernetic implants covering half his face, spoke up from his station. "Primitive? Oh, that's rich. Tell me, Commander, when was the last time your people invented a new way to kill each other?" "We perfected warfare millennia ago," Vex'thor replied with renewed arrogance. "Our weapons are efficient, our tactics proven." "Efficient?" Sarah repeated, savoring the word. "Marcus, show our new friend what we've been working on during our peaceful millennium." The engineer's grin revealed several gold teeth as he pulled up technical schematics. With pleasure, Admiral. This here is the Pacification Grid, a network of satellites that can create localized gravity wells. We originally designed it to end the Outer Rim pirate wars by crushing their ships like tin cans. And this, added Dr. Elena Vasquez, the station's chief scientist, is the Harmony virus, a self-replicating nanobotic system that can shut down any electronic device within a light-year radius. We use it to end the AI rebellion of 2756. Oh, and my personal favorite, Lieutenant Morrison chimed in, the friendship bombs. They're designed to phase shift through any known shielding technology before detonating. We call them that because they help everyone become friends by eliminating the troublemakers. Vex'thor's confident demeanor was rapidly crumbling. But you're supposed to be peaceful. Our intelligence reports indicated a species that has known only tranquility. Your intelligence reports are adorable, Sarah said, her voice dripping with condescension. Let me guess, you observed our planet from a distance, saw that we weren't currently bombarding each other from space, and assumed we were pacifists? Did you bother to check our entertainment industry? Our sports? Our video games? Our entire culture is built around creative applications of violence. The alien commander was now visibly sweating, though whether from fear or confusion was unclear. This changes nothing. We have 1,000 ships. You have what? A few dozen orbital stations. Oh, Commander! Sarah's smile turned predatory. You haven't been paying attention. We don't just have a few dozen stations. We have a few dozen visible stations. Marcus, would you be so kind as to show our guest a full defensive grid? The main display shifted to show the space around Earth, revealing not dozens but thousands of hidden installations, weapon platforms, and defense networks. The alien fleet suddenly looked very small and very vulnerable in comparison. Sweet, merciful circuits, breathed Captain Santos, feigning surprise. Would you look at that? It's almost like we've been preparing for this exact scenario for the past 1,000 years. Because we have, Sarah confirmed, her tone now deadly serious despite the continued amusement in her eyes. You see, Commander, we've been waiting for someone like you. Someone arrogant enough to mistake our internal conflicts for weakness. Someone stupid enough to threaten our world. The alien commander's voice had lost all its earlier confidence. You planned this? Not specifically, Sarah admitted with a casual shrug. But we've been planning for something like this since the day we first looked up at the stars and realized we weren't alone. The question isn't whether we're ready for war, Commander. The question is whether you're ready for what humans call war. Lieutenant Morrison leaned back in his chair, grinning widely. I love this part. Tell him about the contingency plans, Admiral. Oh, the contingency plans, Sarah mused, as if she'd forgotten about them. Well, Commander, we have 17 different response protocols for alien invasion scenarios. Plan A involves negotiation and peaceful resolution. Plan B involves measured military response. Plan C involves total annihilation of the invading force. And what plan are you implementing? Vex'thor asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sarah's expression turned ice cold. We're going straight to Plan M. Commander, Plan M is what we call the Make Them Regret It protocol. It's the one we reserve for species that are too stupid to take a hint and too arrogant to recognize when they're outmatched. The command center fell silent, except for the gentle hum of computers. The humans were no longer laughing. Instead, they watched their screens with the focused intensity of predators sizing up their prey. You have one chance, Commander, Sarah continued, her voice now carrying the weight of absolute authority. Turn your fleet around. Jump back to whatever rock you crawled out from under and never darken our solar system again. Because if you don't, we're going to teach you exactly what 1,000 years of warfare among ourselves has taught us about the art of creative destruction. Vex'thor's image flickered as his ship's communications array struggled with what appeared to be massive electromagnetic interference. What are you doing to our systems? Nothing yet, Sarah replied sweetly. That's just the ambient radiation from our defensive grid powering up. Marcus, what's our charge level? 30% and climbing. Admiral. The engineer reported with obvious satisfaction. Should be at full power in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes, Sarah repeated, turning back to the alien commander. You have 10 minutes to make the smartest decision of your very short military career, Commander. I suggest you use them wisely. The transmission cut out, leaving the command center in relative quiet. The humans resumed their stations, checking systems and preparing for what they all knew was coming. Think he'll run? Captain Santos asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. Not a chance, Sarah replied, settling into her command chair. His pride won't let him. Besides, he's already committed his forces. Retreating now would be admitting that his intelligence was wrong, his planning was flawed, and his species isn't as superior as he thought. So we're really doing this? Lieutenant Morrison asked, his fingers dancing across his console as he prepared the weapon systems. Oh, we're absolutely doing this, Sarah confirmed, her smile returning with renewed warmth. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been 1,000 years since we've had a proper war with someone who actually deserves it. Let's show our new friends why humans are the galaxy's most persistent problem. As if on cue, the alien fleet began moving into attack formation, their ships spreading out in what they probably thought was an intimidating display of force. On the human side, hidden weapons platforms began emerging from asteroid fields. Cloaking devices deactivated, and defensive grids hummed to life. Admiral, Dr. Vasquez called out, her voice filled with anticipation. All systems are green. The Harmony virus is ready for deployment. The Pacification Grid is at 60% charge, and the friendship bombs are loaded and waiting. Outstanding, Sarah replied, her hands gripping the armrest of her chair. Signal all stations. Operation Cosmic Joke is now in effect. Let's give these lizards a demonstration they'll never forget. The space around Earth erupted into controlled chaos as humanity's true military might revealed itself. For 1,000 years, they had fought each other, learned from each other, and grown stronger together. Now, finally, they had a common enemy worthy of their accumulated expertise. And they were going to enjoy every minute of it. The 1,000-year peace is over. Aliens declare war, but humans only laugh. Hashtag Part 2. The universe learns to fear. The first volley from the Zephyrian fleet lit up the darkness of space, like a deadly fireworks display. Massive energy beams, each one capable of melting through solid titanium, streaked toward Earth's orbital defenses. The aliens had clearly expected to see their impressive weapons tear through primitive human shields and watch their enemies scramble in terror. Instead, they watched in growing horror as their most powerful attacks simply vanished into shimmering energy barriers, absorbed and redirected by technology they couldn't begin to understand. Well, that was disappointing, Admiral Sarah Chen remarked, studying the tactical display with the same casual interest she might show a weather report. Marcus, what's our shield efficiency at? Barely registering, Admiral, Chief Engineer Marcus Webb replied, his cybernetic eye glowing as it interfaced with the defense grid. Their weapons are hitting us with about as much force as a light summer rain. My grandmother could sneeze harder than that. Lieutenant Jake Morrison looked up from his communications console, his expression a mixture of amusement and pity. Admiral, I'm getting frantic transmissions from the Zephyrian fleet. They're demanding to know why their weapons aren't working. Apparently, High Commander Vex'thor is having what can only be described as a complete meltdown. Put him through, Sarah ordered, settling back in her command chair with obvious anticipation. I want to see his face when he realizes just how badly he's miscalculated. The main screen flickered to life, revealing Vex'thor's scale features twisted with rage and confusion. Behind him, his bridge crew scurried about in barely controlled panic, their confident demeanor completely shattered. What sorcery is this? The alien commander snarled, his serpentine eyes blazing with frustrated fury. Our weapons are the most advanced in the galaxy. They have conquered worlds, shattered entire civilizations. Oh, I'm sure they have, Sarah replied with mock sympathy. Against species that never learned to fight properly. Tell me, Commander, what's the most advanced enemy you've ever faced? Some peaceful farming civilization? A species that surrendered the moment you showed up? Captain Maria Santos leaned forward at her tactical station, her fingers already dancing across the targeting controls. Admiral, if I may, I've been analyzing their weapon signatures. Their technology is about 300 years behind our current generation. It's like they're throwing rocks at a starship. Rocks would be more effective, Dr. Elena Vasquez added from her science station. At least rocks have mass. These energy beams are so inefficient they're practically giving us free power. Vex'thor's confusion was evident even across the species barrier. Impossible. Our empire spans 1,000 worlds. We have perfected the art of warfare over millennia. No, Sarah corrected, her voice taking on a lecturing tone. You perfected the art of bullying. There's a difference. Marcus, would you be so kind as to show our friends what actual warfare looks like? The engineer's grin was positively predatory. With pleasure, Admiral. Activating the Pacification Grid now. Space around the alien fleet suddenly shimmered as invisible gravitational fields began to form. The massive Zephyrian ships, previously moving in perfect formation, began to drift helplessly as their engines struggled against forces they couldn't comprehend. What are you doing to our ships? Vex'thor demanded, his voice rising in pitch as panic set in. Nothing permanent, Sarah assured him sweetly. We're just demonstrating the difference between your weapons and ours. You see, while you were busy conquering defenseless worlds, we were busy finding new and creative ways to kill each other. Competition breeds innovation, Commander. Lieutenant Morrison pulled up a holographic display showing the alien fleet's predicament. For those keeping score at home, the Pacification Grid is currently subjecting the Zephyrian ships to approximately 15 times normal gravitational force. Their crews are probably having a very uncomfortable time right about now. 15 times? Captain Santos asked with obvious disappointment. That's barely a workout. Remember when we used this thing on the Martian separatists? We cranked it up to 50 times normal gravity. Different situation, Sarah explained patiently. The Martians were actually dangerous. These poor lizards are more like, well, let's call them enthusiastic amateurs. The alien commander's image was now flickering as his ship's power system struggled under the gravitational assault. You're monsters. No civilized species would develop such weapons. Civilized. Sarah laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. Oh, Commander, you really don't understand, do you? We're not civilized. We're domesticated. There's a big difference. Civilization is a thin veneer we wear when we're feeling polite. Underneath, we're still the same species that conquered our own world through superior application of violence. Dr. Vasquez looked up from her instruments, her expression bright with scientific curiosity. Admiral, I'm reading massive structural stress on their ships. At this rate, they'll start breaking apart in about 10 minutes. Noted, Sarah replied, then turned back to the alien commander. You hear that, Vex'thor? 10 minutes until your mighty fleet becomes space debris. I'm feeling generous, though I'll give you one more chance to withdraw. Never. The alien snarled, though his bravado was clearly forced. The Zephyrian Empire does not retreat. We will die with honor before we yield to inferior species. Inferior? Sarah's eyebrows rose. Did you just call us inferior? After we've completely neutralized your fleet without firing a shot? Tom, make a note. Commander Vex'thor just called us inferior. I think that deserves a special response. Communications Officer Tom Bradley grinned as he typed into his console. Already on it, Admiral. Shall I prepare the friendship bombs? Not yet, Sarah mused, her fingers steepled as she considered options. I think our guests need a more educational experience. Marcus, dial back the gravity fields. Let's give them a chance to feel hopeful again. The gravitational pressure around the alien fleet suddenly lessened, allowing their ships to regain some mobility. Vex'thor's image stabilized, and for a moment, hope flickered in his serpentine eyes. You see, he declared, his confidence returning. Your weapons are flawed. We are free to... His words were cut off as every electronic system on every ship in his fleet suddenly went dark. The massive vessels, moments before preparing to renew their attack, now drifted helplessly in space, their crews trapped in metal coffins with no power No life support and no hope. Say hello to the Harmony virus, Dr. Vasquez announced cheerfully. It's a self-replicating nanobotic system designed to make friends with any technology it encounters. Very aggressive friends. The kind that never leave and eat all your food. Emergency lighting flicker on across the alien fleet, casting eerie shadows through their viewports. Vex'thor's image, now transmitted through what appeared to be a hand-cranked emergency system, showed it being on the verge of complete psychological breakdown. "This is impossible," he whispered, his earlier arrogance completely gone. "How can you have such technology? How can you be so—" "So what?" Sarah prompted, her voice deceptively gentle. "So advanced? So prepared? So thoroughly superior to your pathetic excuse for military force? So cruel?" Vex'thor finished, his voice barely audible. The command center fell silent for a moment. Then, slowly, the humans began to laugh. Not the amused chuckles from earlier, but something darker, more primal. The laughter of predators who had been challenged by prey. "Cruel?" Captain Santos repeated, wiping tears from her eyes. "Oh, sweetie, you haven't seen cruel yet. This is us being nice. This is us playing with our food. You want to see cruel?" Lieutenant Morrison added, his youthful face suddenly hard as stone. "Cruel is what we did to each other during the corporate wars. Cruel is what happened to pirates who try to raid our shipping lanes. Cruel is what we're capable of when we stop pretending to be civilized." Sarah stood up from her command chair, her movements fluid and predatory. "You came here expecting to find sheep commander. Instead, you found wolves. Wolves that have been sharpening their teeth on each other for 1,000 years. But we offered you a chance to surrender." Vex'thor protested weakly. "We were willing to be merciful." "Merciful?" Sarah's laugh was like breaking glass. "You were willing to enslave us, to add us to your collection of conquered worlds. That's not mercy, Commander. That's arrogance. And arrogance, well, that's something we don't tolerate." She walked closer to the main screen, her face now clearly visible to the alien commander. "You see, we've been watching you for months. Ever since your scouts first entered our solar system. We know about your empire, your methods, your victims. 700 worlds enslaved. Countless species ground under your heel. Did you think we'd just let that slide? But you're just one world," Vex'thor stammered. "How can you challenge an entire empire?" "Because we're not just one world," Sarah replied, her smile returning with renewed menace. "We're humanity. We're the species that looked at the concept of warfare and said, 'Hold my beer.' We're the ones who turned conflict into an art form, strategy into a science, and violence into a symphony." She gestured to her crew, each one now focused on their consoles with lethal intensity. "These people have spent their entire lives preparing for this moment. Not specifically your invasion, but the concept of it. Every war game, every simulation, every conflict we've ever had has been practiced the day when someone like you showed up. And now that day is here," Captain Santos added, her targeting systems now locked onto the alien fleet. "The question is, Commander, how do you want this to end? Quick and clean, or slow and educational?" Vex'thor's image flickered as his emergency power system struggled to maintain the connection. "You would commit genocide? Destroy an entire fleet? Genocide?" Sarah considered the word. "No, I don't think so. Genocide implies we're targeting civilians. You're military. You're invaders. You're the ones who declared war on us. This isn't genocide, Commander. This is pest control." The alien commander's shoulders sagged in defeat. "What do you want from us?" "Oh, now you're asking the right questions," Sarah said with obvious satisfaction. "What we want is simple. We want you to go home. We want you to tell your empire exactly what happened here. We want you to spread the word that Earth is off limits, that humanity is not to be trifled with. And if we refuse?" Vex'thor asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Then we demonstrate why nobody has successfully conquered us in 1,000 years, Sarah replied. "Marcus, bring the friendship bombs online. Let's show our guests what they look like when they're angry." The space around her is suddenly filled with thousands of small, innocuous-looking devices, each one phasing in and out of visible reality as they moved through dimensions the aliens couldn't perceive. Each one of those devices contains enough antimatter to vaporize a city. Dr. Vasquez explained in the same tone she might use to discuss the weather. They're currently positioned inside your ships, phased slightly out of normal space. One command from me, and they'll phase back into reality. The beauty of it, Lieutenant Morrison added, is that they're completely undetectable until it's too late. No shields, no armor, no desperate last-minute maneuvers. Just goodbye. Vex'thor stared at the display, showing his fleet surrounded by invisible instruments of destruction. You're insane. All of you, this level of military development, this casual attitude toward violence. You're not a civilization. You're a weapon. Now you're getting it, Sarah said approvingly. We are a weapon, Commander, a weapon forged in the fires of 1,000 years of warfare, a weapon that has finally found a target worthy of its attention. She leaned back in her chair, her expression becoming almost conversational. You know what the funny thing is? If you'd approached us differently, if you'd come in peace or offered trade instead of conquest, we would have welcomed you. We're actually quite friendly when we're not being threatened. But you didn't do that, Captain Santos continued. You came here with conquest in mind. You looked at our world and saw weakness. You made the fatal mistake of confusing our restraint with inability. So here's what's going to happen, Sarah said, her voice taking on the tone of absolute authority. You're going to limp back to your empire with whatever ships we decide to let you keep. You're going to tell them exactly what happened here. You're going to make it very clear that Earth is under human protection, and that any future attempts at conquest will be met with escalating levels of creative destruction. And if your empire is smart, Dr. Vasquez added, they'll take the hint and find softer targets. Because next time, we won't be nearly so gentle. The alien commander's image flickered one final time as his power systems finally failed completely. His last words, transmitted through emergency broadcasts, were barely audible. We understand. We withdraw. Please don't follow us. Follow you? Sarah laughed, the sound echoing through the command center. Oh, Commander, you still don't get it. We don't need to follow you. We're going to let you go home and spread the word. You're going to be our advertisement. The alien fleet began to move, their damaged ships limping toward the edge of the solar system. As they retreated, the human defensive grid slowly powered down, the friendship bombs phasing back out of reality, the Pacification Grid releasing its grip on space-time. Think they learned their lesson? Lieutenant Morrison asked, watching the aliens flee. They learned something, Sarah replied, settling back into her command chair. Whether it's the right lesson remains to be seen. But one thing's for certain, the galaxy just got a lot more interesting. As the last of the alien ships disappeared into hyperspace, the command center erupted in cheers. The humans had won their first interstellar war without firing a single shot, and they'd done it with style. Admiral, Captain Santos said, her voice filled with anticipation. What are your orders for the next phase? Sarah's smile was sharp enough to cut diamond. Now we wait, and we prepare. Because something tells me the Zephyrian Empire isn't going to take this lying down. They'll be back, and next time, they'll bring friends. Good, Dr. Vasquez said, her scientific curiosity already turning to new possibilities. I've got some ideas for upgrades to our defensive systems, and maybe a few new weapons designs. I love it when a plan comes together, Sarah murmured, watching the stars twinkle peacefully in the void. For 1,000 years, we've been the galaxy's best-kept secret. Now the secret's out. Let's see how the universe handles the news that humanity is open for business. The laughter that filled the command center was no longer mocking or cruel. It was the laughter of a species that had finally found its place in the cosmic order, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as the universe's most persistent problem, and they were just getting started.